Hey there, Russ here. Welcome back to the shop. Okay, well, let's talk about fogs. I've talked about this a couple, 3 years ago. I have a past video about it. I'll leave it in the description if you're interested. Basically, this is a computer. This is a electrified world anymore. We all depend upon electricity. And what FOGS stands for to me is what happens if you lose that power. Sometimes we do, and especially here. I'm in Wisconsin in the Midwest, and it's not uncommon a couple times a year to lose your power for a while. Sometimes days, it can happen. So when that happens, it really can disrupt your world. In today's world, we all depend on electric power. And when all of a sudden that grid fails us, it just really changes our world. And when the longer it's off, the tougher it gets to not have it. So I have already been keeping my FOGS plan, and I've been updating it, changing it as time goes on. First off, FOGS, Forced Off-Grid Survival. And that's why I said that's what it's about. Is sometimes we don't have any choice. We just lose our power for whatever reason. And now we have to figure out how to get by. I have a lot of freezers. I have 2 freezers, and I have 2 refrigerators and 1 freezer, excuse me. And several other things. I have a well, so my water is dependent on electric power. My furnace would depend upon having electric power. If it's winter, if it's summer. Quite honestly, there are times when, you need that air conditioner just to survive when it's 100 degrees outside in the humidity. So you really are depending on power. So one of the things that I did in designing my way to survive off power, off grid here is, first off, let me say that all my designing is based on hunkering down and staying right here. So if I run without power, your FOGS is going to have to be a little different because sometimes your scenarios are going to be different than mine. What is most likely to happen here? We could get snowed in where you can't go anywhere because the roads are closed for a few days. You have to hunker down. And if the power goes off in that time period, you better be ready to be able to survive in that cold weather. So I have my plan is based on what is most likely to happen to me. If I lived in California or in Florida, I would probably have a widely different FOGS plan in place. So you should have a FOGS plan, and if you don't, all I can say is, why not? You should have something thought through and how you're going to get by with this and that for if it's 12 hours without. That's an easy FOGS plan. But if you're going to be out for days, now it gets to be a little bit more complicated. Or what if it's a wide area that is also down? It's not just you. It's not just your neighborhood or a 10 square mile area. It's a huge area that this has impact. That increases your survival of what it's going to take and how long you may have to hunker down could change according to those scenarios. So you want your plan to kind of be able to do it, survive and change and go along as that scenario possibly changes in the middle of while it's going on. Right now, the way my power grid going off is the main thing I have to worry about and still being able to function here and hunker down. So I have a generator that is still running on gasoline only. I am going to hook it up to my natural gas so that I can run it without having to fill it up with gasoline all the time. That's the last part of that plan. But my plan is to use that generator every couple hours, use it for 2 hours every 2, 3, 4, 6 hours, whatever's necessary. But run it for 2 hours and then not run it for 2 hours and then run it for 2 hours, that type of thing. So while it's running, I'll have power in the whole house. It's that size generator that I can hook it up so I can power the whole house when I go off grid. But I can't run it 24/7. You don't want to run a generator like this. It's not that kind of generator that you can hook it up and just let it run until the power comes on 2 weeks later. Not a good way of doing it. So I figure that it'll run for 2 hours at a time when it runs. And during that time period, any battery packs that I have, I want to be able to charge them up fully in that 2-hour window. So all these battery packs that I'm designing, the way my battery will work is I'm going to have one central battery. That's what my 100 amp hour battery is going to be. That will be set up here in the shop, and it'll have solar collectors hooked up to it. And it will also be detachable, so I can roll it, put it in the vehicle, and use it as a portable power pack, power station if I want to. And it will be able to be charged off of DC, off of AC, or off of solar. It'll have all three capabilities on it. So, but most of the time it'll sit there hooked up to the solar. So if I want to charge any of my other battery packs and it's in between using the generator, theoretically I should be able to take a DC to DC charger, hook it up to the battery, to my whatever battery I'm trying to charge, and charge it up without any problem. And that battery will continue to be maintained and charging through the solar, so it'll recuperate whether I use the generator or not. So it's kind of like a backup battery source for when the generator is not running. And yet I can also use it as its own source of power if I want to, being a 100 amp hour power station on top of that. So it's going to be flexible, but that'll be part of what that scheme is. But everything in here that's battery operated, or any of my battery packs or my battery power outlets, all have to have the capability of my batteries being able to recharge in that 2-hour window is the scheme. So with that in mind, that's why I'm building this new battery pack. I wanted something a little more powerful, since my 100 amp hour battery pack is going to be semi-stationary in the scheme of things. I would like to have another battery pack that I can pick up, pull a lot of watts out of it, or a lot of amps from it, and still use it as a pretty easy, lightweight battery pack if I want. So these batteries are going to be perfect for that. These are 16 amp hour batteries, which is 205 watt hours each, and I have 2 of them for my system. And these are my Addy batteries, MIADY. They sell them on Amazon, about $60 on today's market. They've been as cheap as $50, so the price fluctuates some on them. If this works out, I may buy 2 more and turn it into a 4 battery hooked up in parallel to make my 12-volt system for a power station. And that power station will have a lot of capabilities that you don't see in normal power stations like the Jackery 500. This will be comparable in amount of power it puts out, will be close to what the Jackery 500 does, but this will do things that the 500 will not do. And so and it's going to be geared toward the things that I wanted to do in my FOGS system here. So that's the plan. I'm anxious to get that going. The other thing I'm actually doing too is my van. I am working on that. I'm getting ready to start working on doing the inside. I've got it completely stripped out. And I have a pretty good idea of how I want to do the different pieces of the puzzle of the van. So we'll start talking about that when I get ready to start doing the van. I think we'll do a sit-in where I'll take you out there now that it's empty, and we'll sit out there and I'll show you the size and how things will kind of be in proportion inside the van, so you can get a good look at what it looks like before we start filling it up. So I haven't put a floor in it yet. It's still got the carpet. I got to tear that out, but that's minor. I don't know how much of it I'm actually going to tear apart. But that van is actually going to be part of my whole scheme here. And in fact, if you have a FOGS scenario, and your FOGS scenario is you have to include a bug out. Because if I was in Florida, I would have a really good bug out plan, no doubt about it. But even though I'm here, and the odds of me having to bug out are probably, well, a lot less than if I lived in Florida, quite honestly. So me having to bug out is pretty low on the ideas of what might happen. But I still should have something, I think. And so that's why I'm going to the van, and I'm looking for it to be a bug out vehicle. Very quickly I can transition it to that if I need to in a short period of time. and be able to load it up. So I have to put together a plan of what I need in there, what things I would be putting in there, what's it going to be like in its everyday life, because I'm going to be using that van for everyday also. So it has to fit my needs for everyday use. I don't want to build it into a camper and then never go use it for that. So I want it to be able to change out inside. Also, I want to be able to haul larger items like bags of dirt or maybe sheets of plywood, and I want to be able to throw those in there easily, quickly, without doing any major modifications, to be able to haul those things inside that van. So it's got to be pretty versatile, and I think it's going to be a nice van when I get done, and I'll show you. And some of the ideas that I'm going to do will be very useful to anybody that is an avid camper, because I have some of these ideas that I'm going to show you would work real nice in even any kind of camper. But the power, my battery packs are going to play a big part in how I set up the van too. So I'll be able to take my battery pack, my power station, and load it up in the vehicle, hook it up to the battery instantly, and then turn that into the house battery on an RV type vehicle. And then everything can plug into that that's you want to run when you're not driving down the road. So we'll get into all that and how I'm going to modify that van so that it will incorporate turning this 100 amp hour battery power station. I'll be able to put it in the van, hook it up in just a couple of minutes, and I'm good to go for power in there just like it would have in an RV. So stay tuned for that. That's all part of my FOGS plan. So I wanted to give you an update on my FOGS and where I'm at, where I'm going with it. And I think that right now, if the power goes out, it's not too bad, because I have these batteries all around here that I can set up real quick and just power a power inverter on it. So, but I want to get these things organized, make some nice power stations. I want to make a power station so that I can make sure it's always charging when it's not in use and that sort of thing. So when I get it done, I'll show it to you. I think you'll really like it. Any questions, comments, ideas? Maybe your fog ideas? Or maybe now after talking to me, you may say, yeah, I probably should do something. And you may have a couple of questions about it. Go back, watch that other FOGS video. I think it'll help a lot. And then you'll see kind of where I'm at now and compared to when I started talking about FOGS and how I've kind of evolved a little bit since then and where I'm at with it. But all these portable battery things that I do, that's all related to my thoughts about how I would use them if I get forced into a FOGS scenario. So that's what it's about, and that's why my battery pack is going to be what it is. If you have any questions, you want to talk about FOGS or ideas that you have, I'd love to hear them. Just leave them in the comments. If you didn't know, I do read them all. So if you like this video, or you learned something here, or if you think maybe I'm not done rambling yet and you want to hear more, just hit that like button. Lets me know to keep going. Most importantly, though, please come back again, because I'm nowhere near done. Done rambling. So we'll see you guys again very soon. Bye. Whoop, here we go.